Who's laughing with me? Hi, Corey.
I keep decapitating myself. I can't. Go ahead. Maybe that's just as well.
That's perfect. It's perfect.
Oh.
All right. Okay, perfect. So welcome to the 2 days of online meetings. Thank you so much. So apparently, what is being passionately expressed is the simple and direct illumination that everything is already as it is. So simple that it's often missed since it's not an understanding and does not require any kind of comprehension. So direct that is consistently and often overlooked. This elusive, incomprehensible, this appears in everything. Everything is this and also not this. Sorry, I'm just letting more people in here. My apologies. There we go. Okay. Okay. There were some people stuck. Where was I? It's already this. It is so it's so direct that it's often overlooked. What's seeing this is already this. What's seeking this is already this. Everything is this already. This elusive, incomprehensible, this does not require anything. It does not need you. Everything is this and also not this. There is no separation, even if division seems to appear as this. There is no other, even if it seems to appear as another. There is only this timelessness that seems to appear as fragmented and linear time. So no one was late today. That did not happen. There is no self, but even if there is a sense of self experiencing time and space, but all felt experience is also illusory. It feels absolutely real, but it's not. It is this and also not this. Seemingly lacking a distinct sense of self does not signify any conclusion of any sort. There's no ending to this. The appearance has no boundaries. This boundlessness can appear as anything, including the perception of a separate individual appearing in time and space, or the experience of you, the apparent you, of course. Those who feel separate often anticipate that this liberation, this seeming what's being talked about here, will assume a specific form, kind of like a state, but it defies any such characterization. It doesn't have to appear like anything. Liberation might simply entail sitting in a chair, eating a sticky bun or a sticky pudding without any attachments. It eludes any attempt to grasp or define it. Even the thought that says, yes, I am sitting and eating this really delicious sticky pudding. So what? It's a part of this all-encompassing experience without an experiencer. Yet there is no experiencer, even if there's a felt and undeniable experience of this sweetness, this deliciousness. There might be an envisioning of freedom or liberation as having a particular sensation, but what is being expressed here is there's no distinct feeling associated with it. There's no freedom, feeling, or liberation happening. Sorry, I'll answer that question in a moment. Sorry. There isn't any specific state. Yet when that center apparently dissolves, although there's nothing to resolve because there's really no center. For example, this morning, there was just they trying to come up with the perfect recipe for a sticky pudding. There was no self separate from that looking for sticky pudding. It's just pure and simple. It's just really, really direct. This seeing becomes apparent when there is an engagement in activities that demand full attention, so to speak. When there's an engagement in activities that demand everything, leaving no room for the thought that I'm doing this, that I'm eating this, that I'm walking, that I'm cooking or I'm walking. It's just walking. It's just eating. It's just deliciousness. Whether it's anything at all, whether it's kind of like, bungee jumping, is anyone flying off of a plane, art performance, playing the piano for hours and hours, there is no self that interferes with it. The action seemingly folds seamlessly. The apparent self, the apparent character only rears its head when it feels the need to do so. So ultimately, nothing really remains. There's just this directness and there's just this simplicity that what is just what is. There is no third party, so to speak, or a middleman that appears to be whatever seems to be appearing. There's no lingering sense of time, identity, or life. So this apparent happening seemingly unfolds in time that appears to pass, but it's not confined within the constraints of time. What remains is everything, yet for no one. For no one. So in this couple of days, this is going to be an expression of just directness, the simplicity that does not require any kind of storytelling of how to get there, how to dissolve. Doesn't need a how-to, so to speak. It does not need any instructions. It does not need any kind of thinking even. It does not really need anything from you. So this directness, this immediacy, this subtle yet very simple isness is already what is. It's again talking on a microphone, apparently talking about nothing, yet talking about everything, including sticky pudding. It's just this deliciousness that in this simplicity and this directness, there's nothing needed. There's nothing needed. Not a wisdom or knowledge or knowing or comprehension. It does not even require a self, a you, a character. Although there seems to be an appearance of character speaking on trying to illuminate that there's nothing needed. Don't believe any of it. Because the moment that it becomes a comprehension, understanding that it becomes a new mantra that it's so simple and direct that there's nothing needed, then it becomes another doing. It does not require anything. And the wowness, the boomness of what is appearing is just this inexplicable directness of something that is this and also not this. And before we get into a conversation of what this is, it cannot really be spoken about. Although it appears as speaking, it appears as listening, it appears as understanding, it appears as whatever seems to appear. And that's how freedom is without any barriers or any conditions, because it's so free that it appears in the good, the bad, and the ugly. It appears in the most divine and the most whatever the opposite of that. Whatever is avoided, whatever is accepted, whatever is it appears in everything, in the rejection, in the acceptance, in the breath, in darkness and light. It's in everything. It's in everything. It's so simple and direct that it's in everything. What seems to be hidden appears in everything. So simple and direct as it is. It does not really require any computation or how to get there. It's just already this. So thank you so much. We're going to open up for any discussion, any questions about this. The second meeting will have in a couple of hours. In the third, it will not be recorded, so there'll be just an open discussion of whatever wants to be talked about. Thanks for keeping up with the dress code. Why are you so excited about this when there's nothing to talk about this? It's inexplicable. There is this aliveness that seems to appear to express something that cannot be expressed. There is this excitement that it's already this. It's like this meeting this already, this talking about this. So there's really no, it's like being a child talking about whatever. Thank you. Yes, you can ask questions by typing it, just like what, I can read it. If you want it to be private, you can just private instead of doing it. If you want to ask a question publicly, you can raise your hand. But yeah, go for it. Why is it so confusing when it is simple and direct? Can you unravel this confusion? Because what seems to appear is trying to chase something that cannot be chased. It's like trying to figure out stillness, but doing it in movements, trying to think about the unthinkable when it cannot be thought of. So what's appearing is already is directly, simply as it is. And it's often overlooked because what seems to be appearing is this trying to internalize, how do I get this? But since there's no getting this because everything is already as it is, any kind of interpretations, any kind of definition of what seems to be appearing gets lost in translation because it does not need to be translated. Oh, thank you, Gunver. What is the secret to happiness? There's no secret. There's no secret to happiness. There's no getting to, or it's just another, it's not a state. When it's seen that nothing remains, when it's seen that everything is already as it is. So when happiness seems to arise, sadness seems to appear, it is what it is. That's also this. And then trying to capture it, trying to hold on to it, that this is a state of happiness or a state of freedom. Although this is also this, it becomes not this. In the story, of course. So when there is a trying to capture a story, trying to maintain it, trying to hold on to it, what seems to appear, which is this, seemingly becomes a solidity, a reality that needs to be captured. But reality seems to just vanish, you know what I'm saying? Seems to be just very fluid. It does not have any kind of reality. So reality is that what seems to be appearing is this and not this. What seems to be appearing is not, and also this. So happiness, when there is a when there seems to be a gatekeeping of happiness, it already is, no matter what it is. There's no such thing even as happiness. There's no such thing as suffering. Although it appears as happiness, appears as suffering, it already is what is. There seems to be, a fantasy of a completed, end of something, or a fantasy of holding on to something like happiness. But what seems to appear is that the character is coming from this separate perspective because it lives in the next. It waits for the, how do you get there? It longs for that state. It's waiting for the end of itself, which is really an oxymoron because there's no end to this. It's no end to this. And that's so simple. And it's so direct. There's no beginning, so there's no ending. There's no this and there's no not this. Everything is already as it is. And even if the wheels of understanding is trying to churn and trying to figure out something that cannot be figured out, that's also what is. Question. There seems to be happiness with a lot of speakers that talks about this. Why is that? That's just another story. It's not a state. Honestly, saying for this character, this is one of my favorite things to do. I love talking about this. There's this, I don't know what love, that there's just this openness. There's this, I don't know what, I don't even know, but there's just this, it's like when I DJ. When I'm DJing, I'm happy DJing. When I'm eating something that I love doing it. So it's just a seeming reaction to what's being spoken about. Yeah. Does frustration, sadness arise for you? Yes, but not for me. Frustration arises. Hangry arises. But again, kind of like what I was saying earlier, that what seems to appear is full on, right? It's 100% appearing as just angry or whatever. So it seems to appear, the full on is appear and also vanishes because it's no holding on to, there's no filtering it. There's no trying to avoid it. It's just what is. Again, what this is already this. What's seeking this is already this. There's nothing that cannot be, that's not other than this. So there's really no option. It's just this. There's an imagined option, an imagined to avoid this or to deflect this or to do this, but there's really no undoing. So again, when it's seen, it's in its just simplicity, and it's just utter simplicity. That's just what is. That there's really no one doing any of this, even if it appears that there's a doing. Then there's just a seeming relaxation that this is already what is. So there's a resignation in trying to manipulate or control feelings and emotions when it's already as it is. I can't imagine you getting mad. When the restaurant runs out of creme brulee, you know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. Then I get like, what do you mean there's no creme brulee? about sensitivity. Were you before, as Emerson, the teacher, feeling you were becoming more sensitive, body, senses, nervous system? How is that now? Elaborate more on that one, Nick. I don't know if you want to come. What do you mean by sensitivity? Reactive? Do you want to talk about it, Nick, or I'm not really understanding it? Sorry.
Yes, I want to talk about it.
Excellent. Excellent. Hi, Nick.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, let me feel into it, what I exactly mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can only speak for myself, and like just the sensitivity of, like, let's say the nervous system.
In this story, I had a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
I had panic attacks. I've talked about this before, that I hid really, really well, right? So there was always, if that's what you mean, is that what you mean?
What do I mean?
Yeah. By
That's
sensitivity. Yeah.
Yeah, just like as a teacher, let's say, when you became, let's say, more, just more sensitive, more awake in a way, like, when there's like less and less things that obscure your world, like less and less patterns, less and less thoughts, less and less, like, let's say, trash. Like, there's more of a sensitivity to, I don't know, people, beings, environment, senses. You get what I'm saying? Like, as time progressed, you became maybe more sensitive or not, and I'm curious, how is that now?
Yeah, well, and then this is just a story in that apparent awakening. Maybe that was an experience of the character in a dream, right? There was this just a lot of silence, so to speak. But I thought I had to maintain that silence, so I had to, so. And after that silence, so it became kind of like a state. It's not a state, right? So I was trying to maintain the silence, trying to maintain whatever seems to appear as a state. This is not a state.
Mm-hmm.
This is just the normalcy, the directness of everything appearing as it is, right? So sensitivity is just another narrative about something that does not really make sense anyway, because there's nothing that really, I guess, to answer that, there was, so, but it's also seen as a story.
Yeah.
It didn't really matter. But after, like, when I thought I lost it, that sensitivity increased again, right? So it's not a state of kind of like less or more, so to speak, right? It's not. It's what seems to be appearing is just more openness and more authenticity. Even though there's no character that embodies that, or that seems to kind of like hold on to that, there's this character that is more authentic, more open. Before, I was trying to maintain no character, trying to kind of like not have any thoughts, trying to only eat something that was pure, that kind of thing. So there was a lot of manipulation, so to speak, trying to meditate, trying to quiet the mind. I did not even watch a lot of TV. I kind of like limited all of that, right? So this one is just if it wants to binge Netflix, so what? If it wants to eat a whole bunch of sweets, so what? Right? So there's just this indescribable freedom, but not as my freedom.
And in regards to, let's say, before then, let's say, feeling for example, energy of back then, right? You felt like, you could feel like sometimes, okay, someone is bringing like some sort of it feels very dark around someone, or it can feel very light. It can feel very light. Someone, is it like that completely like dropped?
It's just seen that
there's no one.
Yeah, that was just another delusion, right? That I was a lot better than everybody. That I've mentioned this many times, that if there was there was a, not an intuition, even there was a suspicion. It was all suspicion. It was all a delusion. It was all fantasy. There was a suspicion that someone was gossiping. So if there was a suspicion that someone was gossiping in a room, that was low energy for me.
But for example, if now, for example, a pedophile enters your room,
Yeah.
like, or a very kind and loving person, would you wouldn't feel like any difference in a way, like if one very like dark pedophile versus like the light one,
I
you
haven't
don't feel
really
like,
met one, you know what I'm saying? But
for example,
I really don't know. You know, I'm saying everything just appears as it appears, right? So it's not any specialness. There's this trying to make it into something, a special power or something, right? There is a lot of transparency with this character. And now there's a lot of openness. If it doesn't like who is it talking to, it will not continue the conversation, so to speak. It's more direct. It's more honest, right?
Yes, but that happens automatically then. Just like it's just like no one knows why. It's just, and it could be like,
there's a carefreeness about it, right? Before, when every time I kind of like had a dark, person or whatever, I would try to change it. Maybe I'm like, hey, maybe you can meditate and everything. It's trying to fix everything around it, right? When everything is just appearing as it is. It's like, it's like when you seek and like when you see and there's a rabid dog, you're not going to pet it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's automatically. Yeah.
Okay. Automatically. Yeah.
There's not being thought of, okay, this feels quite dark. I'm not going to talk to that someone.
Yeah. Maybe I should pet this dog and maybe it will stop growling because I'm a special being or something. None of that. Right. So it's like or if there is a, like a stuckness, for example, when I'm talking to someone, I had someone interviewed me for a popular podcast, and the person kept on talking about spirituality, and there's nothing wrong or right about that. And, and I basically can, like, after the interview, I'm like, I don't think, that we were kind of like, I don't want to put anything down, right? Because I'm respectful, but this is going to sound very alien to people that are listening to your podcast, right? So it's up to you to release it or not. But this is not about spirituality. This is not even about non-duality. This is just the authenticity that everything is already as it is. And that's basically really simple, right? For example, to make that example, right? If there's a rabid dog, it's just a rabid dog. You walk away from it or you call the animal control. When you see a serial killer or something, you're not gonna say that, hey, maybe if you turn into non-duality, maybe you'll see that. No, none of that, right? There's going to be walking away from that. It's not going to be saying, what's that?
You're not going into the rabbit hole.
No. So the stories collapse before they even start, right? The stories might arise, right? That, hey, maybe I should be able to, because, the idea that there's someone that has reached something, maybe I can change that person and maybe they're not going to be a pedophile anymore or something. So if there is if there's a character that just, for example, if somebody says that, hey, I murdered a whole bunch of people, I'm going to report that to the police. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that there's no one here. You have not really murdered anyone. It's not going to bypass anything. It's the directness of it. It's very simple. It's actually kind of like, I've talked about this in another meeting. It's almost like the sobriety to fantastical thinking. Fantastical thinking includes that, oh, Nick, your energy is low right now, so you won't understand what I'm talking about. It's like, it's a direct sincerity that there's nothing to figure out.
I have another question, something I wrote down.
Good. Okay.
Like I know that you're not like in a relationship. I at least you didn't talk about it, so I understand. I guess you'll know. But if you like, usually you talk about anything. So, but if you like, like, I was curious about it. But the question was: are you in a relationship, or do you have the wish? And how does taking action towards it look like? What do you talk about with someone?
There's a non-duality dating site, that people go to, and they find no one, and then if they're verified as a no one, then I'm just kidding. It's there's a lot of contentment here, right? So, and this is just another story. It could also appear as anything. There's a lot of contentment here. This character was a serial monogamist, right? It was always in a relationship after relationship, even when it could not stand, not being in a relationship, because that defined the character. So the dating seems to appear as just, it's just a lot of openness, right? So it's not wanting to be in a relationship because there's a contentment. If it happens, then it's cool, you know what I'm saying? But for some odd reason, the past, I don't know how long I've been single, maybe 3 years, I've dated, but there's just this happiness that is boundless. You know what I'm saying? There's peace. There's peace, right? Because the character used to long for a partner, over and over and over again. It's just nonstop, right? It was just it was a crazy. It would date constantly and everything. But when there is just this, when there's the morning walks with the dog, eating, it's just beautiful. There's no aloneness because there's no one. I have a lot of really good friendships now, though. Just a lot of kind of like no BS kind of friendship, right? It's just beautiful.
No BS, meaning like that, like that people. You said, like, you know what I mean?
No BS,
doesn't
meaning
matter.
that it's not friendship because of a belief system or anything. It's just pure fun, kind of like friendship. And usually people that have come to my meeting in the person anyway, we have become more friends than there's no more speakers, so to speak, right? That a lot of my friendships were built because they wanted to have a spiritual friend like Emerson in the spiritual community before, right? They wanted to have that clout, right? Which is BS, because there's basically equality in everything.
Equality, you said, or you said
Equality,
quality.
yeah, equality. There's an equanimity. It's almost kind of like everything is just, yeah. There's the sameness. No one has more and no one has less. Everything is seemingly disappearance of just clarity. It's like being sober. There was an addiction to a lot of friendships before of what this, all that BS kind of thing, right? Like whether we did the same kind of meditation, there's not even non-duality anymore, right? So I have a lot of friends that seemingly came from meetings and everything, and or people that have done sessions and everything, and at the moment that the apparent seeking drops away, what emerges is a beautiful friendship of equality. So there's no codependency. That I have something and somebody has something, right? It's equal. No one has anything.
Yeah. Thank you, I guess.
But the dating site,
Yeah.
then no one's just kidding.
Like it could be nice, like for like 50-50, like people who are like on the verge of like, okay, this message like resonates.
But there's
they're
no one on
still
the
like,
verge.
I know, but there's like still this like holding on to like, like this, the I am.
There's this dating site called Christian Mingling.
Ooh. Yeah. Sounds heavy. It's just what it is, I guess. But sounds heavy.
Yeah.
Do you have anything more to say?
No. Do you have anything more to say?
No, not really. Not yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe someone else.
Keep it coming.
Yes. Gracias.
De nada. There's a question here. Some organization like Holistic Inc. are measuring vibration of spiritual methods. People masters, etc., using scalar methods, using more scales, and also putting on their YouTube channel. What's your comment on this? I'm not really into it anymore. Any organization that seems to create measurement of this or that. I used to be, as a teacher, I used to measure enlightenment, that kind of thing, which is the same as that when everything seems to collapse, although no one, collapsed really. It's just there is almost like I'll mention again, there's almost like a sobriety to all of measurements and comparisons, because there's really nothing to compare. If this is whole already, there's nothing really separate. That could appear, I'm saying, masters, using methods and everything. That's also what is. But when what is seems to basically report that they have found something, it's also not this. So there's no landing in this. This is immeasurable. This cannot be grasped. This cannot be compared, because there's no two. So measurement seems to arise from this idea of separation, that there is something separate, that there's something missing, that there's a measurement of vibrational or spiritual methods. And again, there's nothing wrong or right that, whatever floats the boat, right? So for example, if someone is into, TM meditation, that's also what is. There's nothing wrong or right about that. But in the story of this character, it has done a whole bunch of measurements. It has done a lot of practices. And again, this is not to say, that there is something wrong with it. But in the story, it just perpetuated this seeking energy of something that became kind of like an addiction for freedom, addiction for the next. It's longing for what's going to happen next. And the meditation is almost like, and this is just this character's, seeming history of meditation, because it did it for quite a while. It almost became kind of like a game of better, that I have to get better, that I have to improve, that there's something wrong with me if I cannot. There's something off with me if I did not meditate for 3 to 4 hours. And the scaling also creates this lesser or more. There's nothing less or more, because everything is already as it is. And it's just really simple. It's just very, very simple. And that seems to what seemingly appeared, like even with the authority figures of teachers and speakers, that vanishes as well. There's no one higher, there's no one lesser. And this is not lesser and this is not higher. It's just what is. It might appear as whatever it is, right? So it's being absolutely free without any conditions of what others or what historically or what is basically prescribed or described, because what is can appear as just really drinking tea, with a friend. That's what is. It does not have to be anything divine or anything that is thought of something to be better, although there's nothing wrong about that. So yes, it's not about measuring. It's not about in denying. It's not a negation. It's not an acceptance as well. There's just this clarity that cannot be comprehended or instructed or measured. And it cannot not even be spoken about, but yet here it is appearing as this talk. But thank you. I love tea too now, yes. I like chai, and English fog and matcha.
Hey, Emerson.
Hello.
Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing very good, very good. I got 2 questions. At the very beginning in your introduction, you mentioned, and you do this periodically, you'll say this and not this.
Yeah.
And the not this, is that just to kind of get away from the words or to?
Not really, because you know what? This appears in everything, and even in not this, right? Because there's always going to be an opposition. You know, words will always create this division. They're always duplicitous, right? So
Right.
it's not to land at something, because words can create this, you know, illusory entrapment that basically saying it's just this. But it's also not this, because it appears in everything. It appears in, you know, it cannot be denied. You know what I'm saying? It just appears in everything, even the not, even the opposite, because there's really no opposite.
Right.
Yeah. I can also say that
I
this and this is just this.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was like maybe to kind of prevent one from landing anywhere.
That's it too. Yeah. But there's no one to land anywhere anyway.
Yeah, of
Right.
course.
So it's like saying that there's no self, and there's also no self.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's also saying that there is no beginning and there's no end.
Yeah.
So it cannot really be, there's no word that has ever, you know, been able to point to this.
Right.
All words are pointless, basically, because
Yeah.
what is already, you know, it's in the silence, it's in the words, it's in the getting it and not getting it. It's in everything. So nothing is excluded, right? So,
Right.
but yeah.
So the other question was, and you used the word resignation, and I'm assuming, of course, it's resignation, but not a doing resignation, like a doer who's resignating.
No, it's not a doer resignation. It's like the narrative that you have a say or an input in this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Although the narrative, you know what, it seems like you have the input and you are doing this and everything, right? So it's neither both. So
Right.
it's kind of like, okay, you know, I can't do this. There's nothing I can do, but this is also doing. So it's almost like, it's like a white flag, right? You're kind of like, all right, you know what? It's kind of like when you're driving a car and the car's running on its own. When the car is self-driving, that analogy
Right.
of like, you know, it's like the whole time you think that you're a bad driver or a good driver, or you're trying to be a better driver. And then somebody tells you that, did you know that this car has been driving on its own for its entirety? And it's not
Right.
even moving. It's a kid's car. So that's the resignation. You're like, you know what? I'll enjoy this, even though there's no one driving it. Either you're steering the wheel or not steering the wheel. It's both is a resignation, basically, right? It's just like,
Right.
it's just seeing everything as it is, without without the trying or the not trying, because both are just opposites.
Yeah. That sometimes you know there's a cliche that people will say, well, it just is what it is. But
Yeah.
that I always look at, it's not really, they're really telling a story. I
Yeah.
think.
And you can also add that it's also what is not.
Yeah.
So that clarifies everything. You're like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Because it's
Yeah.
easy to get stuck in negation. And then
Yeah.
the negation becomes kind of like the authority now. The negation becomes your identity now. The negation becomes your thought. But the negation just creates an opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be acceptable as an opposite. For example, if somebody says just really nothing,
Right.
or
Right.
somebody will say that there's no me, you know, that it just creates a negation, and it cannot really be positioned, because a no me is just another position, or a no position is also a position. So there's no way out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of reminds me very often in other teachings, people will say, well, okay, I'm not really that. I'm not really that. I don't
Yeah.
really, it's not me. It's not me. And they're saying, so there are things there, but they're not me, as if there's a separate me of some type.
Yeah. So, but that's just, that's just another narrative, isn't it? Right.
Yeah.
That's just another narrative. So this is trying to, you know, express something that cannot be expressed by basically putting here it is. It's this and also not this. There's really no this, or there's really no not this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But the moment that someone says it's this, then it becomes this the moment that there is a capturing, although there's no one capturing it, there's an identification. If somebody says that I am this, then it's like, oh shoot, you know what I'm saying? Then it becomes
Yeah.
it becomes, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it, right? It's not to invalidate that or whatever, right? It's not an understanding, but if that's the only way that it can be expressed, then so what? It's not really in the words, right? So what's being expressed here is not anything that can be expressed, but somehow it's coming through as an expression.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
it.
It's like it's something that you cannot be think about, but it's coming in all your thinking.
Mhm.
It's in everything. It's in the zero, it's in the one, and there's no zero and there's no one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's included in all the stories too.
It's included in all the stories too. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And I say that
It's
'cause-
almost like the normalizing of everything went back to normal. You know, it's kind of like but there's really no normal because that's just another idea, right?
Yeah.
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 So it's like something is out of sync, you know, like when you're watching a pirated movie and it has a subtitle that is ahead or beyond.
Yep.
Right? So everything usually sinks back. You're like, okay, you know what? I'm not so confused anymore. It's just what it is. You're not trying to interpret. You're not trying to translate what is happening because it doesn't matter. Any translation gets lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or it's like watching this 4K nature show with just mountains and everything, and you're caught up in the narration of it. It's the narration of it, but it's also the visuals, right? But you don't really need a narration for it, just to see the splendor and the beauty of everything. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost kind of like that checkmate that you've talked about before.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. It's if you go here, if you go there, checkmate, because it's a movement.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the moment that you think it's this, it's not this as well.
Yeah.
It's checkmate. Yeah. The moment that you think that you got it, you did not get it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not about getting or not getting it.
Right.
And what presents in this illusory perception of what is, you know what I'm saying, is either what is and what is not.
Mm-hmm.
So languaging, words again crumble, you know what I'm saying? It can appear as this temporal kind of like, haha. But the moment that, aha, I got it, it's over again. Because there's no getting it, right? It's in everything. So it's like, for example, if somebody says, oh wow, there's really no one here, there might be a temporal relief of like, oh my goodness, it's just this. Like my last one-on-one, the guy was saying that, I think you broke my brain. He was just and he basically he's done this and he's just tired and everything. So we're just having a conversation, and then when what's being presented is like it's this and this is this. It's not it cannot be followed as a concept or a no concept, because a no concept is also a concept.
Yeah.
So there's no getting it and not getting it, because it does not getting and it doesn't need anything. So the breaking of that chasing, that chase segment of chasing, it's like, oh shoot. It's not the left, it's not the right, it's not the middle, it's not up, it's not down, it's not wrong, it's not right. It's not even both, because that's just another thought.
And would you say then even the chasing is still chasing too? I mean, it
is. Yeah. It's also it. Yeah. Everything is it, but also not it.
Yeah. I got.
Because the moment that you're like, oh, that's it. That's not it.
Yeah.
So there's just this open, there's just this boundless openness, right? You're like, so there's this character that's more authentic now than a character that was either kind of like, trapped in these spiritual ideas of what I should be. Yeah. Or even let's just even kind of like throw in non-duality there. This doesn't have to sound anything. There's just this authenticity, because it's not this, it's also this. It's just what is. So there's no more performative thing happening, right? It's just what is. It's just It's just full on expression of what is. It's like sober.
Yeah.
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 Because
Right.
it's easy to get drunk in any ideas, saying an idea there's no thing, an idea that everything, an idea of awareness, an idea of everything, any kind of like thing. Yeah. So it's and it's kind of funny, right? Because it's almost like it's throwing everything out there, but nothing will stick.
Yeah. I kind of like what you just said about getting drunk in ideas, because it's
Oh yeah.
it's like it's easy for that to sort of happen.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
latching onto a spiritual idea
Yeah.
or some word or something, and it sounds good, but it's kind of another latch.
It is another latch. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like when I was really drunken is when I thought I was more like a Bhakti, devotee or something. And then
Yeah.
I became like a jnana, like knowledge and love and all of that kind of stuff. So it's the same thing with relationships, right? I love the idea of being in a relationship. I'm in love with the idea of a relationship. I'm in love with the idea of, so when all of the ideas were all kind of like intoxicants, so to speak, right? There's just like, okay, this is just so simple and direct that it does not need anything. It does not even need any pursuing.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
when my most cherished time is walking and playing with my nephew and my nieces, and it's just really simple, right? I'm not buried in books or trying to figure out anything anymore, because there's just a complete resignation to all of that. It's a retirement of the chase of the wild chase of nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a relaxation, and it's like I don't know, just thinking of that, it's like it's I don't know, it's like at times when one's working and then you have like a day off, there's that relaxation of just not having to, of that sense of a you trying to do something.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even if, this sense of wanting to do something, that's also it.
Yeah.
So
of course.
there's no, nothing lands anymore, right? It's kind of like what I was saying earlier, like, there's just this directness of everything. It's like there's no more me involved
Mhm.
on trying to change things, right? And it's just, oh, that's just what's happening. And it's also
Mhm.
not happening. And you can't even put it in words. So there's just this fluidity, this seamlessness that seems to appear, that it's not better, it's not worse, right? But there's just this freedom, even if you're in a situation that was worse than you were before. Does that make any sense? It doesn't have to appear as a preference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
It just kind of works.
Yeah. It just kind of works. Yeah. It's just that because there's no one, it's like swimming upstream, is seeking, and then just going with the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could be full of rocks and it could be bumpy, or it could be smooth sailing. It's the same. There's just there's no avoiding any of it.
Yeah. So swimming upstream is still the flow.
Yeah.
It because it doesn't have that. I mean, I'm thinking, because the word upstream in the mind, the concept is, oh my gosh, it's work. I really
Yeah.
would just go the other way.
Yeah. But that's also it, though. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
when there's a seeing that, oh, I don't have to swim upstream, you know what I'm saying? Or if I'm swimming upstream, if I'm happy with it, then that's also it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. So there's a resignation of the doer, even if it's doing or not doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you so much. Man, if you have to ask what jazz is, you'll never know. Louis, oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. So this is like poetry, but there's no author. It's like improvised jazz with no player. I used to get mesmerized. I used to go to jazz bars, and just sit there and just get mesmerized with the brilliance of some of the the jazz musicians. I was like 17 or 18 and sneak into a bar. So there was this curiousness always in this beautiful expression of whatever that cannot be expressed in words.
Hi,
Oh,
Katerina
hi.
here.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thanks. I wanted to say with you, there is not a sense of a center when it comes to the senses here. So with the senses, like I don't feel that I am looking or that I am hearing. There is just hearing or looking. I can't see I can't find a center there. However, when it comes to thoughts, there is there are thoughts and there is a center receiving the thoughts and answering back. Would you have any tips?
Which is also a thought. So the thought that there is a receiving, and centering or coming from is also a thought. It's just really simple, right? It's just really simple. Everything that in the framework of the character, although there's no center, it's just whatever is happening. The framework of the character Katerina is made of thoughts. Everything that will come up, I'm saying, in this framework of any questioning is just a thought, which will just be maintained by another thought. So it creates this reality or separate reality by saying that, what is that then? So the thought is just asking another thought question. And the response will be another thought about it. So it's just a thought maintaining a thought to maintain that the thought is real.
And what about the bodily contraction?
There could be felt sense of a bodily contraction, but the moment that the thought that I am, like if you look at a kid that's free, they don't know what a contraction is. They'll just say it's gas or whatever. It's just freedom.
Right.
It's just whatever it is appearing as it is already. It is what it is. It's this and not this. The moment that, that apparent contraction appears, it's also this. The moment that you think it's not this, that's also this. So it doesn't matter. But because the problem with the idea of a contraction and everything is that there's a next that it's waiting for, but there's no next. It's just this. It's all this. It's just this and this and this and this. It's just really simplifying it and not trying to create more concepts, even if it's expressed as no concept. It's still a concept.
Yeah, well, understood. There is no contraction felt, but
yeah,
everybody reports that when this apparent self is dispelled, there is a contraction that they didn't know there was there. That was
yeah. So why perpetuate the contraction when it's not really there?
But apparently it is there.
Then it becomes a story that there's something that needs to happen, right? Of course, there's going to be some lightness and everything, but it just becomes another word that everybody holds on to. I'm not quite there because I'm contracted. It becomes an identity. It becomes an identifier of something that is also what is. So when it doesn't matter if there's contraction or no contraction, it's just what is. It's this and not this. It's always what is, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. It's contradictory to say that it's already the case and then say that there's a contraction. That's already the case as well.
In your in the story of your character,
yes,
there was a release of a contraction that was
Oh,
felt?
I was in severe suffering. I had a lot of anxiety. I had a lot of panic attacks and everything, right? But when it was seen, there was just this like, oh, so there was this tightness of basically kind of like repetitious thinking of that. This is not it. This is not it. This is not it. Or this is it. This is it. This is it. It's insanity. It's an intoxication of looking for the next, right? So when there was this, I was really rendered speechless and just like, wow. Right. So there was this, I talk about this kind of like I was carrying a backpack full of heavy rocks, and I could not find a backpack anymore. Yeah. And then when I do the one-on-ones,
really worry about the contraction or not.
No, because it just becomes another deep. Well, there's really no problem with it, and there's also appreciation from some clarity that it's this and that and everything. But what I've seen in my one-on-ones basically is when they get stuck on an idea, it's almost like a gatekeeping, that there's still contraction, that there's still something that needs to happen. Although in the same token, it's saying that there's nothing really happening. There's nothing needed. So it creates this contradiction when there's really no contradiction. And the reason that I call this simple and direct is it's very direct, that there's nothing needed. It's already the case. So when there is this idea that there's contraction and everything, even if it's a felt sense, it's like this appearance is a felt sense reality. So what? There's also this unknowability for this one. So if somebody lands and holds on to that and say that this is what's real and not that, then that's just another concept. That's just another division. It's this contradiction, really. There's really no contradiction. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
There is a contradiction, a division. When I see anything that is nature, I don't exist. There's nobody there. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
When I see people, they're very much there. Maybe
damn
my
people.
Training as a therapist, because I always try to look at the bad stuff, to find the problem in people. So maybe it's a training that doesn't help see just life like you see a tree or
Again, what I'm saying, it's kind of when it's seen that there's really no division, nature and people are the same illusion. They're also the same reality.
Yeah.
Reality and illusion, you can't even call it any of that, right? It's kind of like it's this way, and no, it's none of that, right? Because everything is just this unknowable that appears as a knowing.
Yeah.
The preference also appears as this. If you don't prefer people, if you really like the nature, do what I do. I walk every day for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of gladness to it. Yeah. Again, but there's no one choosing to do that. It's just what appears that there's choosing, but there's really no one choosing, right? So it's just what is. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey, Steve.
Hi, Emerson.
Hello.
Thanks again for putting these on. We all appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I love it.
So it's as though even if it's already this,
yeah,
as soon as that's said,
it
isn't.
Yes.
But the simultaneity is, but that's no longer it either.
Yeah, because it's the moment that it's captured. It's it, and it's also not it, because it cannot be. There's no you to capture it, but there's also no you to capture it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
And although the feeling of getting it is this, it's simultaneously completely not?
Yeah, it's almost like everything is how do I say it? It's like it's not a negation because that's just an opposite. It's not an acceptance because that's just an opposite. So when it's seen that it's not a negation and acceptance, everything just kind of like almost kind of like cancels each other out. And it's just this. It's just this boom. You're like, huh. So it's almost like what you think and what you not think. You know, when it collapses everything basically, right? It's kind of like, and that seems to be what is called a contraction, an energetic contraction, is when there's this holding on to this. And you know what I'm saying? And then when that is seen as like, it's just non-existent. So that felt sense. And it could be this, you know, I've seen people, some videos that I cannot post, right? Because it just becomes a mess for some people, right? It becomes this sobbing, crying and everything, or convulsing and everything, right? Because there is so much contraction. Or it could be just kind of like, okay, I guess this is it. It could be just like a nonchalant, like, yeah, I don't have any more questions. And then months later, they'll be like, thank you. You know what? I'm not intoxicated with seeking anymore, right? It's just whatever, right? So it's all an appearance, so it doesn't matter. Contraction or no contraction is an appearance.
And even when it matters, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. It's this and it's also not this. It's like, because the moment it's easy to get caught up in this, right? It's easy to create this idea of something that's solid. That's something that it becomes a no belief system, a no belief system. You see what I'm getting at here? So when everything is thrown up in the air, you don't try to catch anything, everything falls down. It cancels everything.
Wow. It's a big wow. Until it's not.
Yeah. And that's also it. It doesn't have to be a big wow all the time, because this is just, you know, it's an infinite wow. Oh, wow, that's horrible. Oh, wow, that's bad. Oh, wow, I feel horrible. You know, it's just what is and what isn't.
And not only unconditional love.
Yeah.
Because that gets sort of tiresome to hear. Could be unconditional hate.
It could be anything. Yeah, it could be unconditional hate. Could be unconditional frustration. Again, when I saw, well, again, this is just a story. When everything seemingly kind of like, you know, canceled each other out, right? You know, the know this and this, and I can't even say what it is. My anxiety for looking for this collapse, I was like, oh my goodness. It's like I didn't even notice for a long, long time that I was not anxious anymore, because I was always waiting for the next. I was afraid of the next. I was intoxicated with the thinking that there's something that needs to happen. And when it didn't happen, right, it was insanity. It was almost like, you know, it's like schizophrenia almost, right? Because the seeking and not finding, it's kind of like you're imagining that you have $1 billion in the bank, and then you go to your bank, you're like, oh, minus $20. And it's not going to change, you know what I'm saying? So when it's seen that that's also it. So what?
Thanks again.
Thank you. Sometimes, Douglas, I have another question related to the so-called contracted energy. Sometimes when I listen to non-duality speakers, there is a very physical sense of contraction, loosening. It almost feels like a falling out of my body. I don't think it's a thought that I'm having, because there's usually immediate and strong fear response from the autonomous nervous system, rapid to right. I don't necessarily believe that contracted energy is a real thing, but my body seems to. Any advice? Yeah, there's going to be this felt sense reality. So it's going to feel like, I used to listen to this, and I used to feel that almost like you know, someone can like pour like a ice cold water, and then you're like, oh shoot. So there's this almost like a relief of that physical sense of contraction and everything, right? So again, it could be this felt sense, reality, but in the framework of the character, that is something that it's not, or that is. So when it's seen that everything is, it does not need an interpreter of what's happening. It does not need a kind of a this or not this kind of thing. Everything is it already. So when that seeming critic, that the thought, you know what I'm saying, that the thought maker, so to speak, which is illusory, just sees that as it is, then when what's being expressed here basically is the clarity that there's nothing needed. And that usually creates this again, this is just another story, right? This seeming kind of like relief that there's nothing needed. The moment that the meeting ends, you know what I'm saying, then there's this processing again of what was said and what was not said. And then it creates this contraction again, so to speak, that there's something that's needed. If you want to add to that, Douglas, please go ahead. And just to add more to that, right? For example, what I saw, right? Like I would be listening to a lot of, of these meetings and everything. But what I didn't see was I also lost a contraction every time that I was DJing. Every time that was kind of like in my introduction there, right? When there is just doing something, you know what I'm saying, that does not require a character or self or anything. It's just what is. And I didn't know that. And it was just so funny, right? Because my go-to stress reliever was either playing the piano for hours or DJing for hours. And the story actually, you know, saying it's not through to any communication or any non-duality that loosened or seemingly, you know, dropped all of that idea that there is a me or there's a sense. It was actually through just playing music. It's just seen as it is already. And it's not kind of like a teaching or anything like that. It's just basically expressing that everything is a story. So it's already what it is. There's just this persistent chatter of something that's contracted or not contracted, a me or no me. And I was running in that hamster wheel. When the speaking was happening, you know, this hamster wheel is probably not turning. But the moment that the speaking, because there is a thinking like, what are they talking about this contracted or non-contracted, a me or no me and everything. So it creates this narrative that there's something, even if it's clearly expressed that there's nothing needed or there's no one to drop away. Somehow the very speaking that seemingly created this clarity and this, you know, openness, the moment that I think about it, then it created this perpetuation of a seeking that there's something that I need, that needs to happen. Even when it's clearly stated that there's nothing that's needed. It already is. Hi, Petra.
Hi, Emerson.
Hello. How are you doing?
Hello. I thought I'm not that much of a seeker anymore, but somehow maybe I was cheating because because I'm still kind of picky, wanting some things to happen and others not, and I find myself often don't like, and yeah, I think it's not it. So, and okay, summer holidays are almost over.
Oh, you're cutting out. You're cutting out, Petra.
Oh.
Summer holidays is almost over?
Yeah. And when I think of teaching, so is it just, I wonder if it's just preferences or...
See, preferences is also it, right? There's nothing wrong or right about preferences. So
right.
If there's that's also it. And if there's kind of like, you know, not wanting to do that, that's also it. Because I hated it when I was DJing, for example, for an audience and I had to play the music. But when I DJ just as a play, it was beautiful. You know, so it's like I didn't care. So I started DJing that way, that I didn't care if there was an audience anymore. And that's when everything, you know, kind of like speaking, it's
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah. I never wanted to be a teacher.
Yeah.
But
But
it's the opposite of just.
you just want to be an artist
play.
playing music, right? And that's probably, or do you
Yeah.
still like doing the music? It doesn't have to be anything. Do you still like playing the piano?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's just a resistance against what is. It's just a me thing.
But that's
or
also
is
what
it
is the resistance to what is also it.
Yeah. Same of course it doesn't feel right to feel this way. So
Yeah.
so contracted, and again, I didn't expect to have so many thoughts now. Again, I mean, I had a really relaxed time, I would say, and yeah, just going with the flow. And now, yeah, and yeah, you can't escape this. Can you feel what I've
Yeah.
tried to express?
Not really, but
Not really.
but I understand what you're trying to say. I understand what you're trying to say, that there is just it's trying to escape it, but it cannot be escaped. Whatever is appearing is already it. There's nothing that can be done about it. It's going to be what is, whatever it is. But the resistance to it seems to create this apparent kind of like a tightness, isn't it? Right? You're kind of like, oh, I don't want this.
Yeah, and asking myself, do I still do it out of fear? Because I'm afraid yeah, if I don't earn enough money, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very much a mind thing. So stuck in the story again. So
yeah. Well, it's just also what is, right? So that fear that seems to appear is also what is. And losing kind of like in everything there's really, you know what, there's an appearance of you doing anything, but there's really no you doing it, as so to speak. It's kind of like me, kind of like when there was a brokenness happening, and the job, I did the full-time job was happening, and unfortunately it did not work because there's no memory here. So you know what, I was like, oh, guess you know what, it's going to be brokenness again. Yeah. So it's just what is, and there's really the preference would have kept that job and everything, but there's no one preferring. It's just, I'm like, oh, damn it, right? But it's just what is.
Yeah, and at that point it feels totally, oh, I can't choose if I stop teaching or not.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be an appearance of choosing or not choosing, but it's pointless, right? Because it's just going to be what is, no matter what it is. And that's the resignation, that it's almost like it's either I can't drive or drive. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to keep on running, but it's also not running at the same time.
It was good that you reminded me of the self-driving car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a kiddie car.
Yeah, it's a kiddie car in the mall.
It's in a mall. And it ran out of coins. You know what I'm saying? You're like, it's not running anymore. I was having so much fun, Mom. It's all a play.
All right, huh?
It's all a play.
Yeah. Taking things too serious. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
which is also it, of course.
That's also it. Yeah. It's the openness to taking serious or not taking serious. It's because it's going to be it no matter what it is. It is always going to be it no matter what it is. And there's no it.
Yeah. When I think of myself as an animal, it's so, I like it just easy, and I like it simple. So
yeah.
Maybe my life stage. But look, with this question I can get stuck already again. Yeah.
The questions will arise, but there will never be an answer, because whatever it's going to be it. It's not either a landing or a conclusion or anything. Like an animal does not need any answers, so to speak, right?
No.
Um, That's why I enjoy, like most of my day, I just get caught, especially the weather is so beautiful, right? In the summer. And
Yeah.
I just get caught up. I'm like, oh, I guess I must have walked like for a few hours now. And then I have a dog that's super happy, right? Because just like best.
So you don't have your full-time job anymore?
No, it did not work because I
Okay.
don't have a memory. And it was a high end. It sucked because it was good money, right? You're like, damn it,
Yeah.
say.
But somehow it's good. It's something again changed with the energy now. So it's good that you lost.
It was funny. It was
Yeah,
funny, right?
very.
Because I was like, you know what? Because I love speaking. I love speaking. I love speaking. And I was doing it even when I was working full time. It didn't matter. It didn't matter, right? It didn't matter. And I was like, and I was like telling someone, I'm like, because I have this job now, I can put out like a whole bunch of meetings, and do like online things, and no problem. And then when the job kind of like ended, it's still what it is. There's still love for the speaking no matter what, right? So
Yeah, but at some point in the past, story-wise, I had the idea, wow, it's getting too much on every channel. It's just over, I don't know what. Yeah. But it's always what it is. Yeah. Oh, it's
It is
good
what it is.
talking to you.
Good
my
talking to you,
friend.
Petra. Thank
I
you.
miss you.
Miss you too.
Soon.
Happy summer. Happy summer. It's almost over, right? The summer's almost over.
Not yet.
Love you. Take care. Questions. Ooh, more questions. Apparently. Oh, wow. Okay. Perhaps there's a follow-up question by Douglas. Perhaps that not everybody's body is so sensitive. It's a very strong sensation that usually appears very suddenly. But thanks for your answer. It's there, in this appearance, right? The appearance is not us. It's not going to be all the same. If you look at this appearance, every tree is different. I only found out about this, that even our walk patterns, no one walks the same. Everybody has different fingerprints, different eye prints, different everything. Although it's just all illusory, the difference is the separation. It's all going to appear completely differently. I have the apparent fortunate, talking to a lot of people that had this seeming, kind of like it could be. I had people convulsing because of the contraction and throwing up and everything. In Zoom meetings and in person, you know what I'm saying? And then there's people that are just like, it's always been this way. So it's all a story. There's no true or there's no false story. It's all a story. Hey, Emerson, I like your approach that it's all inclusive. You do not invalidate anyone. Thank you for that. There's really no one to invalidate. And everything is just this, it's already what it is. And it's beautiful as it is, or not. It's just what it is. But thank you. It's this expression. It's just an illumination that nothing is needed, and it's there's a lot of passion in speaking about, in clarifying that if it's already the case over and over and over again. In this case, we'll be talking about for the next 2 days, expressing what is already obvious, that it's already the case. Even the felt sense of separation is already it as well. Even this, persistence of the illusory, idea that there's something that's lacking or there's something that's needed is also what is. So it's just a clarification of all of that. But yeah, the contraction or no contraction is also what is. It doesn't have to look a certain way because that's just another idea. It's not dismissing anything because that's just another position.
Emerson?
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Oh, hi. Hi, Corey.
You sound surprised.
I just realized that the whole time I didn't have you muted. So I loved hearing your little laughter. That's okay. That's perfect.
Because I don't know how to make that
That's
yellow
okay. That's all right.
hand come up. I'm looking at all the symbols along the bottom and I don't know which one to click on to make the hand come up. Like,
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. That's okay.
no, I just wanted to ask you because a little while ago you were talking about like when you're DJing or when you are playing the piano, it's like there's nobody there. So
Yeah.
So sometimes when I'm vacuuming the carpet or washing up, it's like there's nobody there. And yet when I just collapse in my chair when I've done all my jobs and just relax. And I just think it's like I can just close my eyes and I feel I can sense probably just I don't know if it's what it feels like. I can feel a silence and something that just feels beautiful, but more so. And yet when I'm vacuuming, there's nothing. I'm a bit confused what I'm trying to say, but
That's okay.
you get what I'm saying. So when I'm just relaxing and just sort of almost like letting go and just feeling around me,
Yeah.
it's like I feel the silence.
Yeah.
And it feels just makes me feel really happy. And yet it's like I'm more conscious of that than when I'm vacuuming somehow.
Yeah. Well, there's always no one there. Vacuuming or thinking that there's someone, there's always no one there. So there's constancy. It's consistently not there. You know what I'm saying? So vacuuming or sitting down, it's the same thing. Or even kind of like when there is this flurry of ideas and thoughts, you know what I'm saying? That this is not it. That's also it.
Yeah.
It's this consistent, it's this consistent, undeniable, but undetectable emptiness that cannot be even called any of that. It's just what is, right? So,
of course, it's
yeah.
just seems that the me here is more aware of it when I just, I suppose, consciously the me can feel what I feel, which is just beautiful.
It's beautiful, yeah.
Thing I know, but it seems like one is better than the other.
And that's all just it's also just that that's also what is. That's also what is, yeah. It's beautiful though, right? It's like, oh, it's so relaxing. Yeah.
I suppose there's still someone here aware of that, feeling that. So yeah.
And that's also what is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's no escaping, that it's just this constancy of this unconditionalness that we cannot talk about. The moment that we talk about it, then it creates this illusory that is someone or not, or not someone. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
That's the answer to all the questions, really, isn't it?
It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's who cares, really? Who cares?
It's all it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop asking you questions.
It doesn't matter if there's question asked or question. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And in any way, it's always what is. It's beautiful, even when it's not. It's that quiet relief that, okay, it's almost like there's when there is it's a moot point. It cannot be argued. It's always what is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful you. Say hi to your son.
Yeah, oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll chat soon again.
Hope so.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Going well.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I really love that. That it was a 2-hour session, right? That we did. That was beautiful.
Yeah. He's oh, he really wants to watch it again. He's just this is his work. He works all hours. Like, he earns a pittance and he's just terrified of not doing a shift.
Oh
So,
no, he's a great guy.
oh,
He's a great guy. Yeah, like mommy.
he's had such a struggle. I just, yeah, it's the most beautiful thing, actually, him talking to you.
Yeah, that was so beautiful. That whole, that whole, 2-on-1 or none on none. That was beautiful. That was one of my favorite 1-on-1s. Yeah.
Oh, mine too.
Yeah.
Mine.
just
dear.
just the love, right? It was just the, this love. It was just beautiful. Yeah.
Never really gone away, actually. It's sort of really,
Yeah. It's always, it's that constant, undeniable, unconditional love that never goes away. Beautiful.
I believe there's such a shift,
Yeah.
between him and I.
What a relief, huh? Wow. It's like a,
Unbelievable.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's been struggling most of his life with sort of this dual character. I've known it from the word go, from when he was small. I could see it happening. I could see these two characters at war. And
Yeah.
I knew what it was about with him, but there was no way I could get to him. Or
No, but now it's just peace, isn't it?
it is. It
Yeah.
is.
But you can't think of it because it's unthinkable peace. It's just peace. Yeah.
Well, for me,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot more, but yeah, I think it'd be good for him to speak to you again, really.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Anytime, just let me know. Yeah.
He's struggling with, yeah, he doesn't seem to be able to, he can't focus on anything. He's just all over the place. And
Yeah.
all I've got to work this shift. I've got to work next shift. I've got to work till 10 o'clock tonight. And it's like all he can focus on. And even nothing else. And everything else inside is a bit of a mess. So,
yeah.
yeah,
just let me know. Let me know. And, and if even when he's not able to afford it, that's okay. Saying just let me know. Let me know. Yeah. I would love to talk to him again. He's a great guy.
So kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Emerson.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, it's someone asked what this is like a, yeah. It's a boom.
What in the hell is a boom?
I don't know. It's a cloud with the lightning. Boom. Thunder and boom.
Thunder and lightning.
Hi, Emerson. Thank you for doing these meetings. I really appreciate it. I feel like you're the Switzerland of non-duality. You don't have any sides. Thank you so much for doing this, because I always felt rejected. Oh, it's just this. So there's there's really no sides, although it appears as sides, right? Even no side is a side. It's just what is. But yeah, you know what? There's just this unconditionalness in these meetings and everything, and it's just great speaking that it's already the case over and over again. Although there's no one to convince, and there's no one to no one that's being addressed to, even if addressing is happening. It's just what is. And there's no one rejected, because there's no one in the first place, although it appears as this felt sense reality. But thank you. When does this seeking end? So the beginning never really happened, and the ending won't come. I'll repeat. It never really began, so it's not going to end. There's this narrative of trying to look for something, but what's being looked for, being longed for, is already. It's already. So the seeking is an appearance. It's just an appearance. It's a construction, an idea. But the seeker is also an idea. So when there's no seeker, when it's seen that the seeker is an idea, it's a seeking, it doesn't make sense. So it seemingly collapses, it seemingly cancels each other out. If there's no seeker, so what's seeking then? If there's no seeking, was there a seeker? Again, the beginning never really happened, and the ending won't come, because it does not have to end, because it's not. It's just an appearance. Can you compare it to like being in love and then not in love anymore? Similarly, I guess, when there is it's just what is. It doesn't have to be a certain way. Maybe I don't like using that one, because it's there is, it's like a neurosis, like a neurotic tendency to look for something that it's not. It's like an intoxication of wanting something, but it's just an intoxication. So what's being expressed is kind of like the reason that there's really no landing here, or no position, because the idea of something to happen is another intoxication. The idea of something to fall away is another intoxication, because when it's even being clearly expressed that there's nothing to fall away, somehow that perpetuation of something that needs to happen, either by whatever reason and everything, creates this cyclical idea that there is someone seeking, and seeking needs to stop. I feel so free and so happy in these meetings, Emerson, and I appreciate what you do. Can you have more of these? I always, there's always these meetings apparently, right? And there's a lot of recordings as well. If you want to, listen to this, it's not really needed as well. This is a bad advertisement for this, but this is not really needed. since it's already the case. It's not really necessary. So wherever it lands, right? I need this. I don't need this. It's this and not this. But it's also this. Yes, there's a two-hour break for this one. So you can eat some food. The breakout room will be open. Hey, hello, Emerson. Is it really possible for there to be peace in what seems to be a war zone? In this story, you know what I'm saying? That's just that there's always going to be a play of opposites, right? So in this story, when there's peace, there's war. When there's war, there's peace. But what's being expressed here is that there is just this undefinable, unfigure-outable peace that appears in everything, and even in war. And I know that's hard to comprehend because the idea is the idea goes into this polarity of either this or not this. But this or not this is also just this. So the war that's appearing is also this undeniable or unfigure-outable or unthinkable peace appearing as war, that appears as war. There's this constancy of this peace that cannot be bothered regardless of what seems to be happening. War, chaos, wildness, whatever seems to appear. There's just always going to be this permanence, this constancy, this consistency of this unavoidable peace in no matter what. And that response is loaded with a lot of contradictions and everything, because it's talking in words. And the reason that some of the words gets added as unconditional or unknowable and everything, because it's simply as what's being expressed here, every word will land into a duplicitous idea of something that cannot be separated. So the peace that's being spoken about there that cannot really be spoken about cannot be divided no matter what. I think I always have faith in civilization, even when there's not. And that's what is too. That's also what's appearing.
Can I ask you one more thing, please?
Yes, of course, Katerina. I love the questions.
Is there with you any, well, not with you, but is there coming up any frustration at not being able to earn a living from doing what is loved, which is talking about this? And it's a personal question, you know, I'm not...
Yeah, for sure. Well, you know what, in the, there's just a love for this that it didn't really matter, to be honest, right? I'll still keep on doing this, not as a living, because this doesn't really, but somehow, you know, I'm saying something changed or whatever for the apparent past 3 weeks. Someone shared my video, and I had other meetings that are able to sustain this. Somehow it's sustaining. It's impossible. It's incredible. You know what I'm saying? But it's somehow sustained. But the love is always constant for speaking about this, regardless if it makes money or not. Yeah. So even when I was when there was no kind of like income, not much. There was, but not much coming in, and I had lots of bills. You know, when your bills catches up and everything. So I'm like, oh, I guess I have to look for a job. But I continually, spoke even during that time. I was trying to make it work somehow in this story, right?
Are you giving up your corporate work now, or
there's still some part-time that appears once in a while, right? But somehow the speaking is enough. It's more sustainable now. I had a packed meeting the past couple of days that were kind of like, that were full. So somehow it sustains it. It's incredible. It's wow.
good?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
But there was no frustration before. I mean, or like a sense that why is life not coming up, you know, in a
No,
certain,
there's no
because-
really sustained frustration, right? There might be a reaction and like, oh, damn it, I have to pay this bill.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, you know? So there's a reaction to, I'm like, you know what? Let me call someone that maybe I can get my old job or something, or if I can do this again. So that's also what's happening, right? So there was this kind of like again, there's no avoiding it. It's not delusional anymore, right? It's not like, it's not going to starve and everything, right? Because it's just a normal reaction to be able to pay bills as well, right? So it's like
it's not because the self has dropped there that anything that is loved is what is going to provide you with means of living.
that's just another fantastical imagination power kind of thing, right? Like a CD that all I need to sit is in under a tree, you know what I'm saying? And
Manifest what I love.
manifest what I love and everything, right? I don't think that a sticky pudding or cinnamon roll will appear out of nowhere, you know.
Okay.
So there's this realistic, although there's no reality, sober kind of like, you know what, I have to make a living. So, you know, I love doing this speaking. I want to continue doing it, but to be able to continue doing it, I have to work. You know what I'm saying? I can do this on the weekend, that kind of thing. And somehow,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Somehow, in the narrative of all of this, even when I lost that job, I was beginning to get busy with the speaking for some odd reason. I don't know how. And then someone shared, a video, and then it brought some people that have never heard of non-duality.
Yeah, I saw that. Good.
I was like, what? And it's kind of funny, right? Because I had that meeting, and there were people that got in that was from, uncompromising. So it became kind of like a battle in the chats. It's like, there's no one here, but it's kind of funny because they're like, what do you mean there's no one here? And there's someone say it's Atman, it's Brahmans. It just becomes this war zone and everything.
Okay.
And I just like laugh at it and everything.
Okay.
And I like that, that duplicitous audience, because it's the clarity that there's no one right, there's no one wrong. It's just what is, right? There's just what is. So there's this openness to it. But yeah, for some odd reason, there was the old character Emerson would have been in denial of it, and and have gone broke and everything, and would be lying depressed and everything. And yeah. So there's a doing, although there's no one doing it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Katerina. The concept of civilization is another story with beliefs attached to it, right? Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of the news that is happening today in the United States? To be honest, I don't really get caught up in that anymore. But there's nothing wrong with getting caught up with that, because that's also what is. There's just not much interest. It's comical sometimes, to be honest, right? But I don't really pay attention to it. I have some friends that are from both sides, from like radical left and radical right, and it's just hilarious. It's just a play of opposites, and it's quite wow. Yeah. So it's just what is. There's what is. Yeah. I used to subscribe to all of the news things, and I used to really get frustrated or really get involved in everything. And I've been on both sides. It's kind of hilarious, right? But yeah, right now, it's whatever. Yeah. But again, there's nothing wrong with paying attention to any of that. It's just what is. Oh, there's a question here. Oh, hey, nothing. Nothing's needed. Nothing is equally nothing. No need for seeming relationships, being social. Nothing's needed, and everything can happen as still apparently being occasionally socially active or not. Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. There's nothing to prove anymore. Or not to prove equally. Are you going to have a meeting in person soon, maybe in Toronto? Maybe soon, yeah, maybe soon. The thing is, the people in the meetings, I used to have these regular meetings, and we're all just buddies now. We just go out to eat. So it's a lot of birthdays. The last time we had the person that hosted me before, we just had a birthday celebration with a couple of maybe 3 people that comes to the meetings. So it just becomes this social thing, right? It's there's nothing needed. Yeah. But I might soon, yeah. I might soon. But it's very casual now. The focus is on food now. Oh, question, sorry. Yes, we're back in a couple of hours. Check your schedule. The schedules, there's also a time converter there. Yeah. Do you still listen to music? Yeah. Yeah. I like a lot of lately I listen to a lot of dark classical music. I seem to revisit some of a lot of the new wave from my childhood, so to speak. I listen to a lot of bass music. It's very eclectic. It's all over the place. Oh, I really love this band called Jungle. It's got a disco wiggy kind of like, R&B feel to it. It's quite beautiful. And sometimes a lot of kind of like 90s grunge rock. Death metal from Norway. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, everyone. We're going to have a couple of hours of break. And we'll see you back at in a couple of hours. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, Emerson.
Thanks, Emerson.
Thank you. Oh, hi.
Great.
Hi.